Hi, I'm Valarie Reddell, editor of the Tyler County Booster, and we are here with Woodville ISD Superintendent Glen, and we're going to talk a little bit about Saturday's tax ratification election. So why are we having this election?
Well, in 2005, the legislature decided that they were going to reduce property taxes, and they cut our taxing ability by 1/3. And of course, that created a void in the revenues that the school districts would bring in. And they realized that pretty quickly. And as part of the property tax reduction in 2005, they initiated a hold harmless scenario that for school districts would be made whole to the amount of dollars revenue that they created in 2005. They would be made whole to that particular number per student, and it was called additional state aid for tax reduction. So they, for the last 12 years, have supplemented school funding for a lot of school districts during the years to take care of that state aid that was lost, okay, or the local aid that was lost, the local revenue that was lost. They supplemented that with state aid.
Okay, and that's nicknamed ASSETAR by school officials.
Yeah, we love our acronyms. So that's about as close as you could get. Additional state aid for tax reduction. We call it ASSETAR.
Okay, yeah. And that what has happened overall as far as your entire budget as a large company in Woodville? The state's now funding what, in the low 30% of your budget?
Well, actually, what the state has funded has gone up over the last 6 years, I guess, as property values have dropped. Our local tax revenues have decreased also, and because of oil and gas, which is a big generator of revenues in our school district and in the county together, those values have dropped just because oil and gas prices have dropped. So we've lost significant total value. And I realize home values have gone up because of reappraisals, but our total tax values in the school district have dropped by almost 50%. So we've gone from a number $900 million down to around just under $500 million this current year. So we've had a pretty significant reduction in total property values. And our offset of ASSETAR, our district has picked up per year anywhere from about $2 million down to about $800,000 in ASSETAR money annually. It just depends on the property value and the number of students that we have in our district.
Okay. So voters are going to the poll tomorrow on Saturday. Right. You had a good turnout during the early voting period?
We have. We've had a little over 300 voters that have come in during the early voting period, and we're looking forward to a good voter turnout tomorrow. Okay. We know that the weather is inclement and predictions of that, but we know still that the citizens of the community are concerned about the condition of funding for the school district, and we encourage them to get out, and that'll be from 7 to 7 tomorrow.
And that's at your office on North Charleston?
WISD boardroom on North Charleston Street.
Okay. Yeah. And should this issue not pass tomorrow, what happens to Woodville ISD? Well,
we have been doing some things during the immediate past year as far as making decisions on staff salaries, and we currently have a freeze on staff salaries. We've had a freeze on hiring of at-will and people in the district, trying to reduce the numbers there, and we've taken some professional positions out of the budget this year also. So we've done some things with staffing, and that's really the biggest affected area. When you look at a school district budget or just about any business budget, salaries are about 80% of that. So of our total budget, a little over $12 million in what we call our spendable funds or our local funds. We're about 80% of that is, and we were projected at the beginning of at the end of the school year last year to lose about $1,200,000 in ASSETAR funds. So we were looking at that deficit, and the board agreed to offset part of that with fund balance if we could reduce through staffing and changes in our maintenance and operation cost, and I think we're pretty close to that. But of course, if we could forego taking money out of savings to pay personnel costs, that's something that we're looking at doing.
How many jobs are created at Woodville ISD?
We employ right around 200 employees, full and part-time. Not everybody is a full-time employee. Some of our positions, bus drivers, our at-will positions, those type of things are not full-time. But total working body is a little over 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where does that put y'all in? Do you know where that puts you in the Woodville economy as far as a largest employer?
We're probably second to the prison system.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then during the special session, they did manage to pass a new form of ASETAR grant, but we don't yet have any idea how much that's going to be.
We don't. There are some predictions out there. Legislative Budget Board has put together some numbers, and it's not going to completely replace ASETAR. It's actually a 2-year grant where that will receive a certain a dollar amount based on a funding formula, and for this year, and then we'll receive half of that next year. So it's kind of they're calling it a glide path to nothing. Eventually.
And that's done that to nothing in 2 years.
In 2 years, when the legislature should meet again and potentially come up with a new school funding system. They as part of House Bill 21, which was passed. They also created a public school finance commission, which will be a group of people appointed by our governor, lieutenant governor, and probably the House Speaker to go in and develop a new school finance plan. And that's what we've been waiting on this whole time, is that ASETAR should have phased out for most school districts, and it has, but there are somewhere between 150 and 200 schools in the state that still receive that funding. And the hopes were, as property values went up and per student dollar amounts went up according to property values, that it would eventually go away. And I think over time it will. But at the same time, there's still some of us that are caught up in that loop. And the decision was made in 2011 to sunset it or stop it.
Right, and they also overall cut funds to public schools in Texas in 11.
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't they?
Yeah. Well, some schools received a little bit of an increase. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, that was the year that we had another financial crunch in all school districts. The total loss for school districts in that year was, they said it was $2.5 billion, but it was actually about $5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And then they restored it. Was it $1 billion of that in the 13th session?
They did, and that was an increase to a lot of schools that weren't funded like we were through ASETAR, and our actual amount per student after 13 went down, has gone down for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Okay, but the cost of educating kids in Woodville has not
gone down. It has not gone down. No.
Okay. All right. Well, we are looking at Hurricane Harvey as of this morning. Where can folks look for any changes next week on?
We're keeping our finger on the pulse of a couple of different weather services, and they're telling us that for us, the first part of the week is definitely going to be just pretty much a rain event, and depending on some of the forecast models, it looks to be moving up the coast as the week progresses next week, and potentially we'll looking at the predictors right now. Tuesday and Wednesday will be some of our worst days as far as wind and potential rain. So we'll make decisions on Monday during the weekend as things change and progress, and we'll be getting that information out through the booster.
Right.
And also through local media, TV, and that type of thing. And then school district website will have things posted to it, and then we'll use our calling system that we have to notify parents of conditions if we were to have a late start or actually cancel school.
All right. Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you, Mr. Connor, for stopping by.
Ma'am.
And we will, throughout the weekend, if you'll stay tuned to TylerCountyBooster.com and our Facebook page, we will tell you about any changes due to Tropical Storm Harvey between now and our next print edition. Thanks.
Thank you.